Dustin May was great until he wasn't. Where have we heard that story before? We'll talk about that and a lot more on this Sunday afternoon episode of All Dodgers. What's up, Dodger fans? Coming to you live from two different places because there's two different people. I am Jeff Snyder here in Pleasant Grove, Utah. That is Clint Pasillas in beautiful, right? Beautiful La Puente, California. Clint, a lot of times Sunday is a Jeff solo day, but today it's a Jeff and Clint day because there is so much to talk about. It's even if the Dodgers hadn't played today, there would be a lot to talk about. Unfortunately, the Dodgers did play today. I mean, I like watching baseball even when it's stupid, but
it's not that good.
Dodgers lost to the Red Sox, dropped the series, and that, unfortunately, is our lead story. Yeah. I guess I'd first tell you all Dodgers is brought to you by part of the Believe Network of podcasts, brought to you by Bet Online, et cetera, et cetera. We'll give you all that stuff throughout the day, how to support us and whatever. Dustin May pitched for the Dodgers, looked really, really good for big chunks of this game.
Yeah.
But then in the fifth inning, a little bit of bad luck. Roman Anthony hit a ball that is only a hit 8% of the time, but because we're playing in the stadium known as Fenway Park that we still have to pretend is a Major League Stadium, it was and because Michael Conforto hasn't heard of defense.
It was a bad play.
It was a triple.
Yeah.
Ultimately, both of Michael Conforto's bad plays on defense today didn't actually cost them because whether Anthony was on first, second, or third, he was going to score on the next pitch when Dustin May hung a sweeper to Alex Bregman and he hit it over the monster. And unfortunately, that was it for the Dodgers. They had been up 3-1 going into that inning. The triple scored one run, made it 3-2, and then the home run made it 4-3. That ended up being the final score. And this seems to be kind of a running theme with Dustin May where, well, there's two running themes. One, he's struggled a lot in the first innings this year. I feel, but I haven't looked up, I feel like that's been less pronounced lately. Like his first innings haven't been as bad lately.
You've been hanging out with me too much, going off of feel?
Yeah, I if I had felt it earlier, I would have looked it up.
Yeah.
But it seems like maybe that was a little more under control. But third time through the order, basically, Dustin May. It seems pretty straightforward, maybe that when you only have two pitches, you probably can't get through the order three times. And unfortunately, that probably means that Dustin May might not be starter material anymore, I mean, I know because you've been preaching this for a while.
I have been leading that charge for quite some time. I love Dustin May. I think he is a good dude. I think he wants to do very good for this team, but I think he just doesn't have enough in the tank to get through the order, to get through a lineup three times. What's funny, during the broadcast, Joe Davis was talking about Walker Buehler and how he has a billion pitches. So if there's something not working that day, he could find something else to work. With Dustin May, if the sweeper is not working, you just got to sit and wait and find your fastball and you can hit it, or take your walk or hit a very hittable sweeper. So this is where we go back to. Is it time for Dustin May to go to the bullpen? And I'm happy to see more people getting on that train. So that's why it says here on the screen, Dustin May's final start for the Dodgers could be his final start. Maybe not so much final start as a Dodger or whatever, final game as a Dodger, but more people getting on board with that. I see my buddy Blake Williams saying that as well. Really needs to be in the bullpen. Can't have success in the rotation as a two-pitch pitcher. And, it's time. Either they're going to trade him, which is one of the rumors we talked about this week, or he's going to maybe fortify that bullpen that does need some help. But I would not be shocked to see him start, I should say I would be shocked to see him start more than like 2 additional games over the course of the season.
Yeah,
if that makes sense.
Yeah, it's my concern with May as a reliever has been twofold. One was the first inning struggles that he's had a lot this year. If a guy struggles in the first inning, why would you put him in a role where a huge percentage of his innings are his first inning of the game? Mm-hmm. And so one inning reliever especially, but he could be a multi-inning reliever. My other concern is he doesn't throw as hard as he used to. And so that's the big question mark for me is if he was in a 1 or 2 inning role, would he start throwing harder again? If the 100-mile-an-hour fastball came back with the sweeper, I think he could be a pretty effective reliever. I do think, and maybe this one of the bits of news that we would be talking about, whether there was a game or not, is that Blake Snell is coming back. His next start will be with the Dodgers. That'll be next week. And the Dodgers are officially finally going to the 6-man rotation. Shohei Ohtani is now in the rotation. Blake Snell is in the rotation. And so
it only took 4 months.
Yeah. They've been trying. It took a while for them to have 6 healthy starters at one time. I don't know where Dustin May fits in a 6-man rotation. You would think, 6-man rotation, there's more room, but it's going to 6 because Blake Snell's coming back. And so if there was barely room for May before, there's even barelier room for him now. And, I don't know because theoretically everybody's healthy now.
Yeah.
You got Yamamoto, Glasnow, Snell, the big 3. You got Ohtani. That's your ideal. If everybody's healthy, that's your playoff rotation, those 4 guys. Then you've got Kershaw. You've got Sheehan. That's 6 right there, and Kershaw is maybe another discussion, and maybe it makes sense for Kershaw and May to be a piggyback or something as one of those 6 men. But then you got Justin Wrobleski, who we'll talk a little bit more about a little bit later, what his role might be. I'm not sure that Dustin May is one of the 6 guys in the 6-man rotation.
Yeah, at this point, I mean, it's a competition, and Dave talked about this a little bit entering this series. I have a screen somewhere I could find it, if I could find it, but it comes down to Sheehan, Wrobleski, or really Sheehan, May, and Wrobleski, somebody stepping up and taking command of that role, and I'm not really seeing anybody do that up to this point. Let's see. I think this is the screen right here. Dave being asked on Friday, it's up to them to go out there and pitch, force our hands to make these decisions. Ultimately, players make the decisions for themselves. That is through performance. But if May and Sheehan were pitching for their jobs this weekend and over this road trip, I maybe Dustin gave himself a one-way ticket to the bullpen.
Yeah, the funny thing is, it looked like we might have to have the opposite of this conversation. For those first 4 innings, like Dustin May, he's got some strikeout stuff. He's looking good, but that's why, people don't make decisions on tiny sample sizes, because if you can't be good for a whole start, you can't be good. Because, so you had some good innings. Did you have a good outing? When you're a 1-inning reliever, inning and outing are the same thing, which is funny. They're the same word, even though they're opposites. When you're a starter, innings, you need innings plural to make an outing.
Good innings, living innings.
I wonder if we're ever going to do an episode where you don't do the same Montgomery Burns impression. No,
absolutely not. To derail us for a second, we got a couple of super chats I wanted to make sure I hit. Appreciate the fellas so far. Seth sent us $2 just because Jeff likes his picture. So we got that going there. And also Joshua Alonso bringing it kind of 2 points up here. So we appreciate Joshua, but saying D may have a shutdown inning after they score. Challenge difficulty is impossible. And also Jaron Duran, a guy we both talked a whole bunch about earlier this week that we love, making his audition for the trade deadline in the series. 100%. I will tell you what, after watching him play baseball against the Dodgers this week, I would love to see him even more play baseball for the Dodgers this week. But appreciate the super chat so far. Oh, one more just came in from our friend Richie Flores, $4.99. Bad news for the Conforto haters. He went 3 for 4 with the walk. He may survive Thursday. Sucks. Ohtani chasing way too many pitches. We beat ourselves. Yeah, Conforto we'll talk about more in a little bit. Appreciate Richie there. But it was a bipolar game for Michael Conforto here.
Yeah, and what was there was a subject in the second super chat that I was going to touch on.
Oh, the Jaron Duran?
Oh, yeah. We did see a report that the Red Sox are very unlikely to trade Duran at the trade deadline. Ooh. More likely to trade him in the offseason. So maybe he's next year's center fielder instead of this year's center fielder. But, maybe who wants to tell the nice people about Bet Online? You or me?
I can do that. Actually, if you have it in front of you, because I don't, I say you do that. So you're
All
welcome.
right.
Here's Jeff, everybody.
You know what? Bet Online is your number one source for all your sports betting action. And with baseball in full swing and football season around the corner, BetOnline has more ways to stay on the action with the latest odds, news, and scores, and even live in-game betting. For example, going into the fifth inning, you could have bet on whether or not Dustin May was going to hold that lead. And if you were a negative Nelly, unfortunately, you would have made some money. From MLB, UFC to tennis, and NFL futures, BetOnline remains your choice for sports wagering info. So in between games, head over to the BetOnline Casino with all the top Vegas-style games, including poker and live casino. Head to the website betonline.ag today and take advantage of their industry-leading VIP program with level-up bonuses and weekly cash boosts. BetOnline, the game starts here.
Woo!
And transitioning a little bit, we're talking about Jarren Duran probably not coming to the Dodgers at this trade deadline. You and I have talked about how we like the idea of a center fielder. Mm-hmm. One possibility for a Dodgers center fielder is Tommy Edman if the Dodgers were to trade for an infielder, which you talked a little bit about the Brendan Donovan rumors the other day. Another option would be trading for maybe a less high profile center fielder, one who we've seen playing left field very recently and almost catching a walk-off hit by Freddie Freeman. There are rumors that the Dodgers are interested in Harrison Bader, who has been a good center fielder throughout his career. He's a journeyman. He's bounced all around, spent a long time with the Cardinals. Yeah. I know he's played for both the Mets and the Yankees. He's on the Twins now. I assume there's a couple other teams in there that I don't remember. But Harrison Bader is a guy who definitely has some value and kind of feels like a Dodgers type of trade deadline pickup.
To me, he feels like one of the guys we talk about every trade deadline that they don't end up going out and getting. I don't know how I feel about this particular rumor. As we talk more Conforto in a little bit, Conforto has heated up a little bit, and that is what is making some things difficult for the Conforto haters, as they were termed earlier. But I don't know how bought in I am on Harrison Bader. Yeah, he can play center field, and that is something that we want. I don't know where he's at in terms of team control. He's probably a free agent after the year. He's got an option. Yeah. No, he's got a mutual option. It looks like. I don't know what that looks like after he's traded or whatever. Having a fine year for sure. Not ERA, OPS 767. Looking at his stats here, the question is this guy better than Michael Conforto? That's really what the question comes down to, and over the recent stretch, let's I guess give Conforto his due. He's actually been less terrible. This is over his last 22 games, which covers.
And that's before today, by the way.
That's before today, and this is he had 3 hits today, and this includes back-to-back multi-hit games he had towards the end of June, but. That's not bad. I mean, 788 OPS. You would love to see him take a couple more walks in there to really help boost that, but he's maybe figuring something out. And one of the through lines that you and I had when talking about Jarren Duran, and as we've spoken a decent amount about this trade deadline and what we feel the Dodgers team needs is if you're going to make a move at this deadline, I need to see a needle mover, and right now in my soul, Harrison Bader doesn't move the needle. If I want a random, let's hope this dude is better than what we have kind of guy plugged onto this roster or plugged in, I would much rather honestly see them call up Ryan Ward from AAA, who hit his 28th or 29th home run at AAA last night. I would rather see what we have internally before making a move for Harrison Bader, and who knows what prospects need to go back. Now, if it's a package deal and there's one of those relievers involved, then it's a little bit different of a story. But Bader in and of himself, I don't know how bought in I am. How you feeling about it?
And Bader's not going to cost much, first of all. And that's part of why, he might be a fit because he is a rental. He isn't high profile, he's not a superstar. So he wouldn't cost a lot if it was just trading for him. Mm-hmm. Obviously, if there were relief pitchers involved, other guys involved, then it changes things a little bit. But yeah, I have some concerns about Bader for sure. I do think the Dodgers outfield defense needs to be addressed. I saw somebody in the chat being upset that we talked about Conforto heating up, but that was focused mostly on his defense in the comment. Yeah, the defense was bad. And like I said, neither error today, neither one, only one was an error, and neither one actually cost the Dodgers anything.
Just pitches,
the first one, thankfully, Jarren Duran wasn't hustling. Jarren Duran should have scored on that play. He didn't even get to third. He stopped at second, should have had a chance to score because he wasn't hustling. Maybe didn't know how many outs were. I don't know. But so Conforto got bailed out of that one. And then, like I said, Bregman's homer would have scored the other guy. What's the guy's name?
I wasn't listening. What are you talking about?
The guy who hit the triple, the double that Conforto turned into a triple.
Was it Duran or
no? It was the left fielder, the prospect guy.
Crap! I forget the name.
It's been a long time since this game ended. Apparently,
yeah. I'll be fair. It's a Sunday. Usually, I don't do much
it's usually
content
just me.
stuff. So
I'm usually asking myself who I'm talking about.
I didn't deeply pay attention to this game.
But Anyway, Conforto's defense isn't good. Teoscar's defense is even worse. And
Roman Anthony. Thank you, Chad.
That does concern me. And so that's the reason I would be in favor of Bader. He is a serviceable hitter who plays good defense. And right now, serviceable hitter would be better. I'm not that old, Michael. I don't have dementia yet.
Yeah.
I'm working on it. But the Dodgers are playing the Red Sox. So I've forgotten every Red Sox player now because this series is over. I don't have to think about the Red Sox until the World Series. But I have concerns about the Dodgers outfield defense is my point. And so for that reason, Harrison Bader appeals to me. I definitely would rather have a better hitter and, knowing that you can put Tommy Edman out there in center field if necessary, if it was an infielder. The problem is we may get down to imperfect options because like we said, Jarren Duran probably isn't getting traded. Byron Buxton says he's not going anywhere. Like that's our top two picks. And so if you go Stephen Kwan, that improves the outfield defense for sure, improves the offense. Whichever guy, I don't know if at that point you platoon Teoscar and Conforto until one of them steps up long enough. Hey, here's my question to you, Clint. How many games in a row would Michael Conforto have to be maybe not as good as he was today? 3 extra base hits and a walk. I'm not going to put him that standard. How many games in a row would it take of Michael Conforto being a good hitter before you believe that Michael Conforto is a good hitter?
I don't think he's redeemable this year. That said, there has to be a point. Usually I'm somebody I really buy in on recency bias, things that players have done. Like Ha-Seong Kim, people give him a lot of I know I'm going into a long-winded response to this, but people look at Ha-Seong Kim still hitting over 300 and like, man, he's hitting so good. But yeah, over his last 30 games, he's hitting like 240, maybe below that, and had been struggling before having a hit game yesterday. And then you get to the other side of it, like Muncy. He opened the season like absolute doo-doo, and then he puts it together and has a phenomenal stretch. And now I know that Muncy's going to be that guy that eventually figures it out, but people will still talk crap on Muncy because, he walks up to the plate and his average says 230. Still seeing that. Where's Conforto at now after this game? What, like 198 or something? I think I would need to see just a solid month of him hitting 260, give us an 800 OPS. Maybe that'll allow me to buy in a little bit. But at this point, he might be hard to redeem.
Pop his stats back up, his recent games.
I got them right here.
So over the last 22 games before today, 780 OPS. It's good.
Yeah, it's really good.
It's not great. Even this good stretch has been solid.
It's missing on base. This dude needs more on base. He needs to be,
which is funny because the only thing he was doing earlier in the year was taking his walks. That was keeping him afloat. But like 788 OPS over these last 22 games. Harrison Bader's OPS for the whole season is 767. So, he's put up a whole season of Michael Conforto's good 3-week stretch. Neither one is anything to write home about. The fact that we're not enthused about Bader's offense probably means we shouldn't be super enthused about this hot stretch.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know how many days it is that games in a row we'd have to see Conforto hitting like he did today, but the trade deadline is in 4 days, less than 4 days. We're talking 95 hours and 36 minutes, and 96 hours and 36 minutes.
I now feel dumber. You got the number wrong.
But I don't think those 96 hours and change is long enough for Michael Conforto to convince anybody that he is really good. And maybe not. Maybe if he does this all 3 games of the Red Series, maybe they say, hey, we got Conforto. That's our trade deadline pickup.
Guys, I'll say this. Hit that like button here on the channel, here on this video in particular, if you want Michael Conforto to be traded at the trade deadline, or even be a bench option. But I think even him hanging around on the bench, people just don't want that. It's time to leave the party, even if you're doing okay right now. Also, subscribe to the channel. We have other things, obviously, to talk about, but if we're sticking on the outfielder thing specifically, and I'm a no on Conforto, I'm a no on Harrison Bader. I'm really starting to warm up to the Ramon Laureano. I really like the kid.
Yeah,
the kid. He's like 32, 33 now or whatever. Oh, he's only 30.
He's younger than both of us. I know that.
That's a fact. It's not very hard.
30. I was thinking of Ramon Laureano, of the guy who, when he first came up with the A's, it was like everything. He was a good defender, great arm, and he could hit. And then for a few years, like from 2020 through 2022, those 3 seasons combined, he had an OPS plus of 98. He was just, as the kids say, mid, his defense was still really good, or solid at least. But, but the last couple seasons, basically 2024, he was solid. And then 2025, this year, 136 OPS plus.
Yeah, he's been really good.
He's been really good. He strikes out some, but not a ton, a little bit higher than league average strikeout rate. The defense is still good. He's been playing mostly right field this year.
Yeah, but he can play center. We've seen all of us still have that indelible image of him hosing. I forget who the player was, but hosing a dude out from center field at first base.
From left center field.
Yeah. Dude, boy has a cannon, man, and he's 14 bombas this year, 43 runs batted in, the 846 OPS, like you said, 136 on the OPS plus, something comparable when you're looking at weighted runs created plus, because you get elitists who like Fangraphs over Baseball Reference. But the point is, he's a good ball player, and he is somebody that feels very gettable. This week, if we're talking about also needing to pair a reliever, Felix Bautista went on the IL with a shoulder issue, so you're not going to go out and get Baltimore's closer, but I'm sure they have other options in that bullpen. I really haven't looked at Baltimore enough, as much as I should, with it being 48 minutes to the trade deadline or however long you said it was. But I really like Laureano over the crop of a lot of the other names that we've said and have heard, mostly because he also seems relatively cheap to acquire, all things considered.
Yeah, my only concern, I guess, with Laureano is why isn't he playing center field? And maybe it's just because he's on the Orioles right now and they have Cedric Mullins.
Yeah.
But I mean, he hasn't played a lot of center field in several years. I mean, he hasn't even played over 50 games in center in a season since 2021. And so it's like, we know he can play center, but I worry that there's a defensive reason that he's not. And so, do you really want to swap out?
It's for Conforto. Remember, it's for Conforto.
He is. Yeah, whoever it is, it's an upgrade.
Yeah.
But that would mean Andy Pages is staying in center field, and
which I'm not mad at. Like,
I don't hate it. He's been fine, but he's great in a corner. And so if we get somebody who's good in center, go from fine in center and bad on the corners to good in center and elite on one of the corners, that's an upgrade on the defensive side. It's not a knock on Pages. I've been impressed and surprised at how well he's played center field this year, but he's still better in a corner.
Yeah, agreed. I mean, maybe if we keep talking about it, eventually the Dodgers will listen, because it's taken them forever to finally buy into what I've been saying for at least 2 years now about Bobby Miller going to the bullpen, which is the next thing we probably should be talking about if we feel like we're good on Bear, I guess
Almost good.
outfield. What do you got? One more piece?
Yeah, OCJ in the chat saying that we should be talking about the other Orioles outfielder Cedric Mullins as a pickup. All I'm saying is this is a case I am going to use Fangraphs. Cedric Mullins this year in center field, negative 16 defensive runs scored.
Hey, if you're on there, how bad of an outfielder is Ryan O'Hearn? Just out of curiosity. He's playing DH. He was DHing for them.
He's DHing and playing first base. So I assume that tells us what we need to know about his defense. I am looking for it now. And let's see. In the outfield, Ryan O'Hearn is, he grades out better than Cedric Mullins. But in right field, he's at -3 defensive runs saved this year. But so that's probably, it's probably better than Teoscar Hernandez. And probably right there with Conforto. I'm not sure where Conforto's at. But anyway, Cedric Mullins, if he hadn't turned into the worst defensive outfielder in baseball this year, worst defensive center fielder in baseball this year, I would be more on board with it. But it is weird because he was a good defensive center fielder just a year ago. So I don't know what's going on there.
Change of scenery, man. That's how it works, I think, right?
Maybe. Yeah, maybe Camden Yards is just hard to play center field in.
Suddenly.
And that just started this year. Yeah.
Suddenly. We got a couple more super chats, by the way. Let's hang out with our friends here. Seth also threw another $5 super chat our way. We got back-to-back similar ideas here. We're not talking enough about the fact top-tier hitters have forgotten where the strike zone is. And Francisco saying, are the Dodgers mid at best? The records against teams above or below 500 currently making that case. So one, hit the pause button so we make sure we thank our people supporting the channel. We appreciate you guys very much. Also throw this one in here as well. 300 GJW saying, another cheating Astro getting us. That would be, of course, Alex Bregman hitting that dinger today. Yeah, I don't know that I want to dive a whole lot into what's going wrong with the bats right now because it's really feast or famine when it comes to Shohei Ohtani. We know Mookie has been a problem. Freddie is still a little stuck right now with his swing. It's not all the way there. And Teo, he really expanded the zone today. But I don't know that I want to dive in too much to that. With it being trade deadline season, I'd rather talk more about the bigger rumors or the things that we've heard today. Doesn't mean we can't talk about it tomorrow or later this week. Of course, we got a lot more content, and we can do this. As Captain America said, we can do this all day, but I don't want to do it all day. That's for sure.
No, but we can use that as a segue to talk about somebody else who sometimes doesn't know where the strike zone is, and that's Joe Kelly.
Yeah, there was
Give me a soundboard for that. I don't get anything.
Hey, you want is that good?
So the Dodge, I got everything. Was that Scooby-Doo? I like that.
A little bit.
The Dodgers are looking for bullpen help, and Joe Kelly has pitched out of the bullpen for much of his career, including all of his time in 2 different stints with the Dodgers, and maybe looking, I don't know if this would technically count as a 3rd different stint with the Dodgers since he never went anywhere else in between except for Rancho Cucamonga, his house. But Joe Kelly will be throwing an audition bullpen session for the Dodgers. Joe Kelly has said he's either pitching for the Dodgers or for no one.
Yes.
I don't think there will be other teams here. This is just the Dodgers saying, do we think Joe Kelly has any chance of helping us? And I've seen, especially in our Discord server, there are a lot of mixed opinions on the Joe Kelly idea. Mm-hmm. Where I'm at, Clint, is if they sign him to a minor league deal and say, okay, go pitch in AAA for 3 weeks and let's see, or a week even, see if you can throw strikes. Because I assume he still throws hard. I assume his stuff is going to be good. The question is, can you throw strikes? That's always the question with Joe Kelly. And go find out if you can throw strikes. And if he can't, no harm done. If he can, then you make the decision. Okay, who are we DFAing to make room for Joe Kelly on our 40-man roster so we can call him up? It's very much a zero risk move to look at him and see what he's got.
That's exactly where I'm at with this one. Is it's house money right here. I'm not gonna lose any sleep over Will Klein losing his spot on the 40-man roster. Alexis Diaz, if he doesn't pan out or whatever, they have plenty of ways where if Joe Kelly is good after signing a minor league deal, because it would have to be a minor league deal. You don't know what he has after. He didn't even have surgery. He just kind of let the shoulder rest, or the forearm or whatever. I think it was a shoulder issue for him again. He just let it rest and has been slowly, building back up and working out. So something he talked about on Foul Territory a couple weeks ago. And as you already said, his thing is it's Dodgers or bust, and this is the only team he would come back to pitch for. I say, why not? You don't sign him and throw him straight in the major league bullpen, obviously. People here in the chat not as thrilled with the idea of Joe Kelly. Manny Man 5 Dodge saying it's embarrassing that the Kelly conversation is even happening. I think all of us kind of knew at some point it was going to happen, just because he has brought it up a number of times. He's spoken about it at a few events over the last 6 months or so. If I come back to pitch, it's going to be for the Dodgers. I would like to come back and pitch if I feel like I can, and it's going to be for the Los Angeles Dodgers. So again, it's free money.
Yeah, I think I have issues in general with the word embarrassing when we're talking about sports ball. I don't believe in being embarrassed by the things that strangers do. Whether that's how they play baseball or who they watch through a bullpen session.
Well, what about Rex Hudler pulling down his pants in the middle of the White Sox game?
You mean Steve Lyons?
Steve Lyons, there you go. My bad.
I'm embarrassed for you right now.
They all look the same. At least I didn't call him Dio, all right? I didn't call him Ronnie James Dio like our friend Kevin yesterday.
That's why Kevin's not here today.
We put him on timeout.
The Kevin responsible has been sacked. No, but
sorry, poor Dennis.
I don't see any issue with. I guess you're paying for gas for somebody to drive to Rancho Cucamonga to watch Joe Kelly throw. There's literally zero risk here. There's no, and there is potential upside, even if it's a 10% chance. Like, we're talking about guys to trade for and everything. If you've got a 10% chance of, there might be a dude who throws 100 who really wants to play for us and could help us. Okay, yeah, let's pay for the $8 in gas to get somebody over to Cucamonga and watch him throw a bullpen. And realistically, it'll probably happen, wherever. But you know what I mean? Yeah. There's no risk here. And so I even if I believed in the word embarrassing, I don't understand how it would apply here, simply because, there's no risk and there's some degree of upside potential, whether that's 1% or 80%, however you fall on the Joe Kelly spectrum.
Mm-hmm. Again, I just have zero issue with them taking a flyer. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, thanks for stopping by, bud. That's it. Simple enough. I think we had another super chat in here, by the way, from Che. What's going on, Che? Says most overrated MLB of all time, if no repeat. Well, I'll push all the buttons because we thank everybody who gives us money for doing this. You guys help support all of us that do this show, and we appreciate you. And baseball's hard. I don't know that it's the most overrated if they don't go back-to-back. They've also had a myriad of injuries. That's it. It's just very difficult in baseball to go back-to-back, in sports to go back-to-back, but definitely in baseball. It won't be embarrassing if they don't. It would suck if they don't go back-to-back, but I don't think overrated is the word I would use.
And also, how they're playing in July tells us almost zero about their chances of going back-to-back. Like, there's time for 4 more terrible slumps between now and October that could still not matter if they got hot in October.
Not to crap on Che's feeling, because I can understand the not feeling good about how this team is playing right now, but they're going to keep trending better. Hey, Max Muncy is maybe like 10 days away from coming back, maybe 2 weeks from coming back. That's going to be a massive addition back into that lineup. Getting a grown-up back in there, that's going to make everybody better just because he's Max Muncy, and all of a sudden he was the most important glue guy in that 1 through 9, apparently. Something like that.
Yeah, I'm excited to get Muncy back. I hope that he hits well when he comes back and doesn't have too much of an adjustment period getting back in. The less time he's out, the less adjustment period there will probably be. So, I'm excited that he's coming back soon. Another potential bullpen option for the Dodgers is a guy who is already in the organization, possibly embarrassing to talk about. He's been terrible this year. His name's Bobby Miller, and I think we've probably said several times, if Bobby Miller is going to contribute to this team, it's going to be because he transitions to the bullpen and finds something as a reliever. Bobby Miller could be one of those guys who does throw 102 out of the bullpen. And when you throw 102, your margin for error gets higher. Yes. There's still a margin for error. Major league hitters can hit 102 if you just throw it down the middle every time, but you get away with more 102s down the middle than you do 98s down the middle, and you get away with more than you do 93s down the middle. Throwing hard is a good thing in baseball. Bobby Miller is a guy who, for whatever reason, has been terrible the last couple of years, despite having the makings of good stuff. And I've seen it attributed to his brain. I am definitely not qualified to diagnose someone I've never met, and especially with no training. I suspect a lot of people with the same amount of training as me and the same amount of have met Bobby Miller as me are more willing to diagnose him. I am not willing to diagnose anything about Bobby Miller's brain, but whether it's in his brain or in his mechanics or whatever, he's been really bad, but it can't hurt to, in AAA, okay, go to the bullpen, see if you're any better there. If he's bad, then we know, okay, well, he's unredeemable, and maybe he's the guy who gets DFA'd next,
Yeah.
But maybe a guy who can throw 100 miles an hour might be able to find a spot in the bullpen.
It's funny you say he's been, for whatever reason, I think your quote was, for whatever reason, he's been bad over the couple of years. For me, it's more so for whatever reason, he was pretty okay in his debut season in 2023. But if you look at the career, if you look at the minor league numbers across his professional career, you look at what major league scouts, professional scouts, high school scouts all said about him, college scouts, there were a lot of these issues they had with this kid. He's not a starting pitcher. He doesn't have the makeup to be a starting pitcher. He struggles out of the stretch, and you usually get base runners on, which doesn't help him as a pitcher either way. The 23 was the outlier. He is not a very good pitcher. However, I love what Dave said. He's just like, maybe it unlocks something for him, which has been my argument. Because as of right now, you've wasted 3+ months of a season trying to make him a starting pitcher when you didn't necessarily need him to be a starting pitcher. Yeah, you get the most value out of a player if they are starting, or at least out of a pitcher if they are starting, but that's not his role. And like you're saying, Jeff, if you could throw, 102 mile an hour fastball, you can get away with a lot more crap, a lot more problems in your game. You can have a terrible secondary pitch. He has a bunch of secondary pitches. They're all pretty not great. But if he could just hone in on using one of them, either refine a sweeper, refine your slider, refine your curveball, even though I don't really like a fastball curveball guy, it could be something where maybe this helps. Maybe it does change the mindset. Maybe this puts a chip on his shoulder where he's like, I'm going to go show these dudes. And then he turns into, we've seen the Gagne comp. I think we've even made the Eric Gagne comp. I know we talked about it yesterday at a meetup hangout we had over at Richie's house in Devore. By the way, shout out Richie for setting that up and hosting the local folks at his casa. But I love everything about this move, because the same way with Joe Kelly, this is the lowest risk, the highest reward, because he's already knocking on the door of being DFA'd when you need a roster spot. So I love it. Yeah. I'm in.
And I think his secondary pitches, I think their main problem right now is that he doesn't have a good fastball to play off of them. Mm-hmm. It is too straight, as I saw mentioned in the chat. But I do think you can get away with a straight fastball at 102 more than you can at 98. And if the fastball is a little bit more effective, then the off-speed pitches become more effective too, because right now they can sit off speed because they know the fastball isn't going to beat me. And so if he gets a fastball that can beat a guy, then the off speed suddenly become more effective. It's definitely worth a try. He probably will, out of the bullpen, pare down that repertoire a little bit. You don't need 4 pitches as a reliever, especially if you're a 1-inning guy. Go fastball, slider, your sweeper, whatever. Occasionally a change up to a lefty or whatever. and you'll be fine. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see for sure. I'm definitely not going out to buy a Bobby Miller jersey right now. I
Yeah.
did on my old podcast. I did jokingly uh, a couple months ago talk about Bobby Miller closing out the World Series for the Dodgers this year. And you know
Is
what? If it
that what
happens,
happened?
I will definitely take credit for predicting that months ago. So nobody replay this episode right now where I'm saying I don't actually believe that's going to happen. I don't have much confidence in the Bobby Miller experiment at this point.
Listen, I want to have confidence in the dude. I like the guy, even if people, like you're saying, we are not qualified to diagnose somebody's between their ears. He's a good kid. He's a good dude. He's definitely trying his best. He might not have the makeup or the mentality to get major league hitters out consistently, but again, if this is a wake up call, you know, he doesn't have a Tommy Lasorda going down to him saying you're a bulldog now, have a different mentality. But if he finds a way, like I would love to see some old legendary closer give him a call and say this is what you're looking for. This is that mentality you need to have. You know, maybe that does bring the dog out in Bobby Miller, because I would love to see the kid have some sort of future. To waste 100-mile-an-hour arm talent because you're not good at it at any of it. That's just it feels like such a waste, you know, as a career. So I'm really hoping. I'm betting on the kid, mostly because I would love to be right about him moving to the bullpen.
Yeah, I'm rooting for him. I wouldn't say I'm betting on him, which is
Yeah.
the same boat that Joe Kelly falls in. You know,
Yeah.
honestly, I'm rooting for him.
Let's say on this note, Michael Creo has a good secondary career for him as well. That's Savannah Bananas. And
Yeah.
Bodie says his grandma says he's a good dude. Should he be playing for the Dodgers? Yes. Can you catch a ball in left field? If so, go to Joe Kelly's tryout. Just knock on the gate 3 times. They're going to let you in, I promise.
No. One other guy who could be pitching out of the bullpen for the Dodgers. In fact, we saw him pitch out of the bullpen for the Dodgers about an hour ago. Is Justin Wrobleski. Got called back up. We talked about it the other day. Actually, we talked about it before we hit start on our episode on Friday, and then we never did actually mention it in the episode that Wrobleski had been scheduled to start for Oklahoma City that night, and he was scratched. And we didn't know if that was trade related or just, you know, might need length related. Turns out it was probably need length related. And in the end, he did end up pitching 2 innings for the Dodgers today. And it was said on the broadcast that he is one of those guys who the Dodgers are toying with the idea of transitioning his role this season. Now that they do have at least 6 healthy starters, there's not really not really room for Robo in the starting rotation right now. But he does have good stuff, and he has shown some stuff this year. Could be some help out of the bullpen. He has touched close to 100 this year, not consistently, but enough to surprise us a little bit. And so he's a guy who maybe in 1 or 2 innings out of the bullpen could be a weapon there. I guess if you say Wrobleski, Miller, and Kelly, of those 3, Wrobleski is the one I'm most confident in contributing to the 2025 Dodgers bullpen.
Yeah, I agree with that as well. Hey, what's going on? We're like all in sync on this stuff today. Bye. I think that's a different band, but
No, Bye is in sync.
Okay,
Man,
I nailed it.
You're off today.
I don't have kids, and I didn't listen to that when I was, you know, a kids. But anyways, when we're talking about Robo, this is one of the things I had argued early on in the season, and then we didn't see him for a while after the fact. But you look at that, the pitching role. Him as a reliever, very small sample size with both, but he is elite, or he is electric. The ERA is good. The run prevention is very good in a relief role versus that of what we see as a starting pitcher, where it's over 7.5 that ERA in 41 innings. When you have a dude who can throw the baseball from the left-handed side, 97, 98, 99, you try to figure out a way to maximize him on your big league roster, and I think he's not helping the Dodgers a whole lot starting games at AAA. And as we were saying earlier, with all of the pitchers kind of coming back and being healthy, and the fact that you now can play around with a very, very good 6-man rotation, there's no need to have Wrobleski wasting away at AAA when he could potentially help this team fill the role that Anthony Banda isn't doing as well this year, and we don't know what Tanner Scott's going to look like if he does come back this year. So you get another lefty in that bullpen, and somebody who can give you some length and give you some, shut down innings if you really need them, short bursts of it. I love everything about Robo.
Here's my concern. I want you to click on the link I just sent you in Slack, and then pop it up on the screen.
Well, now that's a lot more. It's a lot more work.
That's all right. You can do it.
They're two different computers, so you
what do you need me to send it to you on to?
No, you're good. I got
there?
this.
Nothing?
I got this.
Okay. It's Justin Wrobleski's splits this year, specifically looking at times facing an opponent in a game, and much like Dustin May, it's that first time. You look at that, especially as a starter, first time through the order as a starter, OPS allowed over 1,000, and now. This is 18 plate appearances. This is 2 games worth. So it means he got lit up at least once in 2 games. Not necessarily the end of the world, but even in relief, his first time through the order is higher than his second and third time through. That's my only hang up there. My concern about him is, can he come in with that, guns blazing right off the bat? I also think, when we're looking at his role, pitching as a reliever versus a starter, even his relief outings this year mostly haven't been true relief outings. There's been, piggybacks and those things. And so is it really pitching out of the bullpen, or is it that, those games happen to be against different teams, worse teams? He did better, because we're talking as a reliever, 6 games, and 29 innings. So, as a reliever, he's averaging almost 5 innings per game. And so it's basically starter stuff. So it's the same thing, but again, there's no room for him as a starter. And so if we think he has good stuff and there's potential to help the team, it's going to be from the bullpen this year.
And we've seen this organization have success, with that guy in the postseason when it matters most. I think of Alex Wood. I think of a guy I don't really want to mention, but Julio Urias being that dude who goes out and gives you 3, 4, 5 innings out of the bullpen. That shit's important when it comes to October baseball, and Jack Flaherty not being able to get out of the second inning in World Series Game 5 or whatever. You got to have somebody else who's ready to be a dog, step up and take down some big innings for a long stretch. So right now, if Robo doesn't need to be that dude who is going to be a traditional 1-inning reliever. I'm fine. I think they got enough of those guys. You got Vesia in the bullpen. Again, you don't know if Bonda's going to be in the mix for October, but you have enough other pieces to be the 1-inning guys, to have somebody else who can give you length and dominate. That excites me when you're talking about October in particular, which is what we always should be thinking about with this team.
Yeah, absolutely. The only other thing really that we had to talk about today is the Hae-Sung Kim injury.
Yeah, that was a little out of nowhere, I guess, ish.
Yeah, he, Joe Davis had mentioned on Friday night after a swing by Kim, he looked like he was in some pain. They harped on it a little bit more, him and Smoltz, yesterday during the Fox game. And then we found out today, or last night, I guess, that he does have a left shoulder issue, as you can see up there on the screen, the last 5 or 6 days. Now, Kim has been struggling for longer than 5 or 6 days, so I don't know that this is really the cause of the struggles. But
good excuse.
Yeah. And you know what? If he believes it, that might be good enough. Okay, once my shoulder's okay, then I'm going to be better. I do wonder if the only reason he's even still on the active roster is because he can run fast. Obviously, him pinch running today didn't work out great, getting doubled off second. But in general, him being able to pinch run is a good option. But also because there's no you could call up Alex Freeland, but you're not going to call up Freeland to sit on the bench. And so we're not talking necessarily starter role right now. I wonder if the Dodgers do go get a couple guys at the trade deadline, if that's when then we see Kim go on the IL with this shoulder issue.
It It could be something. It feels more excusey than anything. The fact that he had 2 hits the day we were told that he has this shoulder issue. I think he's something Kevin and I talked about yesterday. I think he's just overexposed to the league right now. They caught up to him, and maybe there's something barking. I don't know how much it's affecting the swing, but to that point, get through the trade deadline. I definitely wouldn't be shocked, or get Kike Hernandez back closer to being healthy, which it feels like we're kind of far-ish away from. So whoever can take that spot, Kim is probably potentially going on the IL, but
Yeah, I wish Kike coming back excited me at all. It doesn't. I mean, if he's here for the vibes, great. He can do that from the IL, he's hurt. It's a good chance to replace him with a better version,
something like that.
Yeah.
But there was your guys' Dodgers headlines and rumors news dump. There was a lot of things to cover. And we did so, I think, pretty admirably over 50 minutes.
I know I admire the way we did it, for sure.
We didn't embarrass ourselves yet.
Yeah, Dodgers are probably getting on a plane right about now to head from Boston to Cincinnati. 3 games with the Reds, who have won like 10 out of 14, so that'll be a good test for the Dodgers. And then they actually have the day off on Thursday during the trade deadline, which is nice. The trade deadline that is now 96 hours and 5 minutes away. Let's synchronize our watches now, and we'll be ready because, there's a lot more to talk. Hopefully we'll have 2 or 3 wins between now and the trade deadline to talk about. Yeah. But there's going to be rumors. There's going to be people thinking we're getting everybody. There's going to be people thinking we're getting nobody. And the truth will probably be somewhere in between, because it's almost always somewhere in between. Yeah. Ultimately, we'll see what the team looks like on Friday when they head to Tampa Bay to play the Rays, because we know Blake Snell will be back during that series.
That's awesome.
And we know Blake Trinan's back. He didn't pitch today, but he's active now. So they are getting some reinforcements, but trade deadline is the time to get some real reinforcements, and I am excited to be to see that. Oh, Cole's comment.
It's a good comment there. You don't need to be on the active roster to suck out a popsicle. Shout out Kike Hernandez. Don't block me again, bro. And OCJ points out it was 2 popsicles. That takes skill right there.
Sometimes you got Clayton Kershaw trying to hold 6 baseballs in his hands. Sometimes it's Kike Hernandez and popsicles,
Mixel Fixel, or whatever this guy's name, says that we don't know shit about baseball. So we appreciate you and your click. I guess we don't know ball.
Hey, hate watches count too. Be sure to watch every day to find out how little we know about baseball. Be sure you tell your friends all about how stupid we are. Send them the links. It's really important to us that everybody who thinks we don't know anything about baseball reminds us every single day. And I promise to be rude to you in the comments on YouTube if you're rude to me.
I've noticed that you're definitely fun. You have a lot of fun being rude to the comments. At least
only the people who deserve it.
Only the people who deserve it. But guys, we appreciate you hanging out with us. Matty Man 5 Dodge, not that one. Well, appreciate OCJ saying it was a great show, so we didn't lose his sub there. But Matty Man 5 Dodge asking, are we doing a big show on Thursday? Yes. The plan is we'll be live starting 2 hours before that trade deadline and running half hour or however long we need after the trade deadline to kind of digest everything. So make sure you subscribe to the channel, do all the things that help boost us in the YouTube algorithms, comment on the videos, comment after the fact. We appreciate you guys. Share it with your friends, share it with your grandma. Try to share with Mixel Fixel so he likes us again. If you guys are looking for a different way to support the show, do check out the Patreon or click the join button here on YouTube. For about $5 a month, you get access to our Discord server, where I'm sure it's going to be nuts on the trade deadline. It was last year, where every little rumor and even where other players are going to other teams blew up on our Discord. So that's a lot of fun for all of us. Check that out. We also have live watch parties. We are planning on one, I think, third week of what's that?
We were thinking about August 15th is the date we were thinking about.
That's what we're trending towards. So the only way you're going to know about it and be a part of it is if you're supporting on Discord. Links are in the description. Supporting on Patreon. But yeah, that's enough. That guy over there. That is Jeff Snyder. Give him a follow at Snydog. I'm Real FRG on the social media machines. We appreciate the hell out of you guys for watching us. Hopefully the Dodgers can start playing better so we're all less miserable. But until the next one, talk to you later. Also, all Dodgers
Bye.
presented by BetOnline. Bye.